Wait, you have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV.
Television addict! Television addict! Television addict!
Hello and welcome to Wednesday, which in these parts is TV Guidance Counselor Day. I am Ken Reed, your TV Guidance Counselor, and it is time for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor, and it's a supersized edition with two guests today. We have a married couple, Mr. Paul Dini and Misty Lee. Not our first married couple that we've had on the show, I don't think. No, we've had couples, but this is the first married couple. Interesting. Anyway. Very, very good. I'm a huge fan of both of them. They're both incredible artists, do some amazing stuff. Paul is a writer. You may know him best from the DC Animated Universe stuff that he's worked on, Batman the Animated Series, Justice League, which if you're a regular listener of the show, you know is my favorite comic adaptation of all time. Misty is a magician, a mentalist. She is the resident seance, I don't know what the word would be, seance person, at the Magic Castle. She is incredibly talented, really, really great. She is also a voiceover actress, does a ton of stuff. And it was great to have both of them on at the same time because they are both incredible guests in their own right. Doubled them together. Even better. So I was very happy to talk to them. In fact, we barely got through the week. So if you're just listening to the podcast for the first time because you're a fan of Paul and Misty's, the concept of the show is that I own every issue of TV Guide. Someone picks an old edition of TV Guide. They sit down, they go through it, they write down what they'd watch that week, and then we discuss their choices. Paul and Misty did that. We only got to about Monday night, so I've been promised that we will do a part two. This is, as I say at the end here, our first cliffhanger episode, but we had a lot of great tangents, a lot of great conversation. They're both super smart, fascinating people. Love talking to them, and you will love hearing me talk to them. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of TV Guidance Counselor, which I think will be a part one, part two to follow at some point in the future, undetermined, with Paul Dini and Misty Lee.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
And my guests, plural today, are Misty Lee and Paul Dini. How are you guys?
We're awesome.
Great.
How are you?
Very good. Very good. Thank you guys so much for trekking up to the borrowed homestead.
Thank you for taking us on a nostalgic journey so we can watch TV together.
You're quite welcome. There's been some fun flipping. We picked a 1985 fall preview edition, although less haggling than I thought. It was a pretty quick decision for two people. And I always joke that. What's that thing that married couples go to? Like, I think it might just be a Catholic thing, but they have to like meet with a priest and like talk about their. I always think they should just do this, like have to go through a TV guide together and then be like,
mediation.
okay, this is fine. This is the test.
We don't meet with a priest. Occasionally, magicians or sorcerers or something like that.
Similar.
You're getting mentorship from currently.
Yeah, he's talking about in crisis though, like from mediation.
Well, I think it's before. It's like before you get married.
Oh, like the counseling.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they do that still.
Either.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone even still does that, but that's always what I think of.
You have to.
Do you really?
In order to get married, I think in the Catholic Church, you have to be approved by the parish.
Oh, geez.
Otherwise, they will not sanction your marriage.
It's like a verbal blood test.
Why do you want to get married? It is.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you want to get married? How do you know?
Is it for the right things?
Are you able to put the Lord first?
Wow.
All that stuff that they ask.
Growing up, it was all Catholic all the time, and my mother was Episcopalian, and then they moved away from the small town where there's a Catholic church in San Francisco. There was an Episcopalian church. My dad said, "Hey, I like this better." So, hey, we're Episcopalian now.
So you didn't have to do the counseling.
Nothing. It's just
we got married by Alex Ross's dad in a wine cellar,
and who is not a priest.
Oh, he is.
Yeah,
he is in Kingdom Come.
Oh, wow.
No, he's a preacher.
Reverend. He's a proper reverend.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Because
Yeah.
we got married. A comedian got ordained online, and and he did our marriage in exchange for a bottle of Maker's Mark.
Nice.
Very good.
I've done a couple weddings for about the same. I got that $30 Universal Life Church thing.
Yep.
Also got a $30 Doctor of the Universe certificate and a Doctor of Metaphysics. I would appreciate you both calling me Doc.
Nice. You have a really big business card that just has a series of letters after.
They're just for me.
Oh,
I will pose as a moil for a bottle of Blanton's.
That's fine.
If that guy will do it for Maker's Mark, I'll go in with a knife for a bottle of
as long as you get the bottle. As long as you get the bottle after you've done the bris. We don't want you to down that before.
I'm just going to take it and run. Because,
but you get to keep the tip.
That's true. Oh.
Yeah.
You're firing on
that's a nice. Yeah, that's a good thing about being a moil. Nice tips.
I'm sure some comic has that joke like, I just do it for the tips. I don't have to claim them on taxes. Yeah. Oh my. Anyway, on to
I just do it for the tips.
Just for the tips. Boom. If we can find like a 70-year-old Jewish comic, we could just be his writing staff now today.
It's Los Angeles. Throw a rock.
We can make all that.
Throw a rock.
Yes. Yeah.
I do anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We could be making that sweet, sweet summer stock money.
That's right.
There we go.
So you ended up picking in 85, and you were already out here working in TV at that time.
Well, I was in California working, but I was actually working up in San Francisco for George Lucas on the Ewoks and Droids Show, which premiered that week.
Yeah, it was
and I'm looking
in the TV guide.
And I'm looking there as a picture of, there's Princess Kneesaa. Oh, look at that. I haven't seen her in about 40 years. Okay.
Was that the first thing that you worked on that aired?
No, I had been jobbing around Los Angeles for a few years prior to that. And I think I worked on Masters of the Universe.
Yes,
developing
so in 82 or 83?
Yeah, and Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
Oh, nice.
And a few things like that. I'd worked at a studio called Filmation, and then I'd done some
Lou
freelancing.
Scheimer.
Lou Scheimer. How are you? Lou Scheimer's a great guy in animation. He was like, kind of shifty godfather of animation. And here's a funny story.
The Fat Albert story.
The Fat Albert story. I told I was on a movie set talking to Chris Rock one day, and he said, Bill Cosby did. We were talking cartoons. He goes, Bill Cosby did all the voices on that show, and I said, yeah, he did a lot of them. And he goes, and Chris said, and they got all these black kids in to do the voices. And I said, no, that's not true. And he goes, what? And I said, well, as soon as Cosby was done and they got Cosby out of the building, because he only showed up like twice a year to record the voices, Lou Scheimer would sit down and he'd do all the voices. And something. All right, cue me up. Who am I doing? Dumb Donald? Hey, Fat Albert, let's go down the swimming hole. And then he'd do all the voices, and then his kids would come in and do the rest of the voices. And Rock looks at me like,
You've ruined my childhood.
You've assassinated Santa Claus in front of me. How dare you? But no, Lou was a good guy for saving a buck.
He did a ton of that's when Chris Rock was just like, wait a minute, Dumb Donald was Orko.
Yeah, that's right.
Comes in,
Lou Scheimer did all the what we call the nyeah characters. They'd always have the little nyeah guy.
The Frank Welker role.
Gee, He-Man, I'm sorry. I just want to help. All the little screw up.
It'd be funny if he started an animation studio just because that was his dream. Like someday I want to just voice these kind of characters, and I have to start a studio just to do it. So I was gonna say if that was the first show that made it to TV Guide as like this is premiering. Like at that time, I don't know if you're at the supermarket and you see the show you're working on as in the front cover.
I saw the TV Guide and I realized, oh God, I've got this in a box somewhere. I think I did save it, because I was working up in San Francisco in Marin County, and my parents lived in the East Bay in Orinda, so I must have trooped over there that Saturday morning to watch it with them and everything, because then it was sort of a novelty. So my brothers and sister would watch it with us, and it was kind of fun. And then working over at Skywalker Ranch was tremendous because it's the sort of idyllic little enchanted fairy village off in the middle of the hills. It was beautiful up there.
Far enough away from LA that it's not deep ingrained in the thing, but you're still working in that world. So that must have been exciting.
It was fun. Yeah.
And you were still in Detroit at that time because you grew up there? Okay. Yeah.
She was going like, "Oh, this show with the Ewoks is total crap. What's Punky Brewster doing?"
Yeah, we're probably around the same age. Well, Punky Brewster had a cartoon that season too.
She did.
Which was real bizarre. Mm-hmm. And that did have all the kids from Punky Brewster did the voices.
Yeah.
I have a theory about that show, which you may or may not be able to dispel, being on the other side.
Did you write on it?
No.
My theory is that someone pitched that show as an unrelated to Punky Brewster show. Like a little girl gets a magical elf named Glomer, and they're like, "That's boring." And then the guy was just like, "And she's Punky Brewster," and they're like, "Sold." Now we're in, because it has nothing to do with anything.
Well, that's how. Getting back to Lou Scheimer, that's exactly how he sold shows. He would get something licensed. Okay, we got the Brady Bunch kids. Okay, we got to have the Brady Bunch kids. Okay, now I got a dog, and we can reuse the animation from Hot Dog from Archie as the dog. And I have this show about pandas. It didn't sell, but we'll put the pandas in there. And I have this idea about a magical bird. So we'll put the bird in there, and then the Brady kids will sell. And then the bird will spin off into its own show, and the pandas will get their own show. And that's the way they used to lump them all together. All the producers used to do that. And in fact, Joe Barbera once went into NBC, and he had a bunch of ideas to pitch them, and one was about female cops in the future, like a Jetson, a buddy. Yes, space cops in the future and their girls. And then he had the rights to Casper the Friendly Ghost. And then he had the rights to, something else. And then he comes out of the meeting and he pitched these 3 ideas. And then he calls his partner, Bill Hanna, and he says, well, I sold the show. And Bill says, great, which show? He goes, all of them in the same half hour. So they lumped this show with
Josie and the Pussycats, I think.
Because they went to space.
It was a space show. And then it was the female cop show. And then it was the Casper the Friendly Ghost show. And it was like Casper is in the future with 2 female cops.
Angie Dickinson's dead.
And
she's in the future.
And then
and Jillian.
Yes, it's
Remember?
and Jillian. Yes.
That.
Oh, Jennifer.
And then
The sexy actress ghost in your house. Jennifer slept there.
I love Casper, but if he could be a sexy vampy actress.
Yeah. and
with an Uncle Stinky.
With an Uncle Stinky.
Margaret Lesh told me the story, and she was head of Fox Kids for a long time, and she worked with Bill and Joe over at Hanna-Barbera, and she said, and after Bill said they were doing all 3 series mashed into one, there was silence on the phone, and Bill Hanna just said, well, at least we're keeping everybody working through Christmas.
But yeah.
And that was their work ethic from, old guys who started in the 20s and 30s in animation is like, we got to keep going. We got to keep the doors open. We got to keep people working. And it was more like, we're not doing Tom and Jerry in its heyday anymore. We're not even doing Huckleberry Hound. We're keeping people
the
busy.
lights on.
Yeah, we're keeping the lights on.
If we can make something great, it's despite all that, not because of it.
Yeah.
It was. I always say that cartoons always got weird, or you could tell they were running out of ideas when they'd be in a band or go to space.
Yeah.
That seemed to be
Babies.
And then
yes.
Babies. Yeah. Babies.
Which was, I think, post Muppet Babies. That was
Yeah.
Muppet Babies was cute.
Muppet Babies is amazing, but I think the guys were like, wait a minute, there's a third option behind band and space. They could be babies now? We didn't even think of that.
See, I hate Muppet Babies.
I love it.
Well, see, that's maybe it's a
we were
generation.
really
generational,
little,
yeah.
we were
Well,
really
you see,
little.
the thing is, I think the thing was like I grew up on the very first generation of Muppets when they were these creepy, weird, scary things on the Ed
Saturday
Sullivan
Night Live and Ed Sullivan.
and Ed
Yeah.
Sullivan. And then when I saw them doing them in animation and where they walked real slow and they moved just like every other kind of badly animated character at the time, I thought you robbed them of what made them unique, which is these tactile creations.
Yeah, it was that uncanny nature, like automatons or something.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Well, like the first time I remember on the Muppet Show, the first time I saw Beaker, for instance, you had Dr. Honeydew, and my assistant Beaker comes in. He's got these popped out eyes.
Yeah. His mouth is like a really weird trap door.
He comes in and he's just going to get slaughtered. And I was laughing already. And when you see a drawing of him, it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
it didn't work to me in the same way.
Because the puppeteers were able to imbue a very special personality.
Exactly.
To translate into.
Yeah.
I get that. But in Muppet Babies, it didn't matter because we already knew their personalities from the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
So it was a mini version of what we had already seen.
Although I
So
do
we
have,
filled in the blanks.
Yeah, sure.
I do
I
have
loved
a childhood trauma I refer to as the Skeeter conundrum.
Oh.
And as a kid, I didn't know that Muppet Babies was produced after the Muppets, and chronologically obviously takes place before.
Sure.
Skeeter, introduced as Scooter's sister on the Muppet Babies, not in the Muppet Show. No one ever talks about her. What the hell happened to Skeeter?
Well,
And I would
people
ask
are
parents.
debating that now. There's a lot of discussion online now that the Muppets have their own weekly show. Like, are we ever going to see Skeeter?
Yeah.
Because we hear creepy things about Scooter's home life. Like,
Are they actually writing that into the show now?
well, from what we can discern, Scooter lives at home with his mom,
Okay.
and she is seeing a guy named Ken, who he talks about
Not me.
very derisively, and it's like he'll say odd things like, "Put your robe on you when you walk around the house, Ken," and everybody kind of looks at him. So there's something weird there.
Yeah.
So maybe Skeeter ran away when Ken showed up.
Changed her name or something?
We don't know.
But the thing, the Muppet Babies did a thing where one of the things I loved about the Muppet Show was that it taught us about the whole history of show business in a weird way.
Yeah.
And there's all these vaudeville things and stuff that as a kid you would never encounter. And the Muppet Babies kind of did that as well for younger generations, where they were showing clips from old movies and making Casablanca references and Twilight Zone references and stuff that toddlers aren't getting now and things. But the same way the Looney Tunes did.
Yeah.
You're getting an education about show business, whether you like it or not, like Mad Magazine used to do, and just in a slightly different format, I think.
Well, I will hand it to Muppet Babies for that, is that they were not afraid to embrace classical things that were classic at that time, like the late 80s. and sort of pay homage to that and do jokes about that. Whereas in cartoons now, it's almost like they hold up a cross to, stay away from that. No, don't
It's
talk about
5 years old.
Don't talk about anything that a kid wouldn't have seen last year because that's already old.
Well, and then they're working up a new origin if it's over 5 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, we got to revamp Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing, not to get too into like comic superhero talk. We'll jump to the TV in a second, but
Sure.
I don't understand the constant origin for these characters that everybody, like if everybody knows, you could go to a country where they've never seen a television, and you're like Superman, and they're like, oh yeah, he's an alien.
Yeah.
And you're like, we don't need to show this again.
Batman, parent shot in an alley.
Yeah.
He took it bad way and became a crime fighter.
The thing I always say is if you go see a romantic comedy
Yeah.
and, the lead character's a bellboy, nobody's like, I really want to know how he got that job. Like, could we show him interviewing for the job and being hired for the job?
We want to
Because
see him doing it.
if I don't know how he got that job, him having this interaction with this woman makes no sense to me.
I think a lot of times, isn't it true that it's you helping the executive understand where this came from? Like the executive says, I don't know anything about Spider-Man, so I need you guys to tell me because people don't know. And what they mean by people don't know is I don't know Spider-Man.
I'm people, so you need to keep me on
and
board.
so
And that's
a lot
the
of
person that signed your check. So.
Yeah, and that is the thing is like if you get a producer who is very conversant in geek culture and knows the origins of these characters and everything, like a J.J. Abrams, or when I worked on Lost, Damon Lindelof, and I could speak the geek, Brian K. Vaughan and Javi Agrio, Mark Swatch, we all worked on that show at various times.
Berkey, too.
And Brian Burke, we all speak the geek, and we all can just go right, on that. But I'll go and talk to I remember talking to an executive once, and he goes, I would never make an Aquaman movie because I don't get I don't understand him. I would greenlight a Man from Atlantis movie because I can I swear to God, I can watch a video. Somebody committed that to film. They made a TV show out of that, and I can watch that. But he didn't have the attention span to read a comic book or understand the lore and history of Aquaman.
He might have just been doing a smokescreen for being a huge Patrick Duffy fan.
He's
like, look, I just get Patrick Duffy.
Well,
See, I'm only familiar with Patrick Duffy's work in South Park where he played that guy's leg.
Yes, absolutely. Well, step by step.
Yeah. Oh, not really.
No.
See, I think that, for a while there, like the last 20 years, everybody kind of talked very dismissively about Aquaman. And I think that was because some people made jokes about Aquaman, or he became kind of like an easy target on shows like Entourage and everything. And then the executives who never read an Aquaman comic book said, oh, Aquaman is a joke, so we got to do him like that. And so only in the last few years they're sort of saying, okay, we can...
It's actually pretty rad.
Yeah.
He's actually 2/3 of the earth under his control.
Yes, he's king of most of the earth. Yeah.
Pretty fearsome superhero.
Yeah. But, if Entourage makes fun of it, hey.
Yeah.
It must be a joke.
I mean, that's the thing. No, thank you.
When we started on Saturday night, there's a bunch of shows here that had premiered that night. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see, since there is somewhat of an age difference, what you're watching while you're kind of an adult and working basically in the business, although a little bit removed, and you're just a consumer basically
and
at
a
home
kid,
and a little
too.
kid.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's some things that so I said when we have couples here, you either end up arguing kind of over and come to a compromise, you pick separately, and you just said Paul will pick and I'm along for the ride.
Yeah. But there were some that I was like, no, we need to watch the Golden Girls.
Right.
I was going to say,
like,
that was your initial thought. But then once we went along, you had some veto powers.
Right.
I did.
So Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Actually, we're going to start an hour earlier with Hee Haw.
Okay.
I loved Hee Haw, and the Statler brothers were on that.
So you like Hee Haw. So you grew up in San Francisco and New York mostly?
I was born in New York, and I did most of my growing up outside of San Francisco in a little town called Orinda near Berkeley.
So Hee Haw wasn't alien to you?
No, my dad was a singer, and he sang like Tony Bennett and Eddie Fisher type stuff. Then he got into advertising. My mom always loved country music, so we always listened to it. And there was something about Hee Haw I liked. I liked the weird music. I liked the corny jokes. I don't know. I liked Little Abner, the comic strip. So that's probably why I liked Hee Haw.
I like the Schmoo.
You like the Schmoo? Yeah.
We all like the Schmoo. The Schmoo. I always liked when they reappropriated the Schmoo for like Herculoids.
Oh yeah. There you go.
It's just the Schmoo.
It's the Schmoo. Yeah.
But I, growing up in Boston, I had a real weird aversion to the Southern shows for whatever reason.
Why?
The
I
alien?
don't know. They would air like Hee Haw especially, and I would just be like, I don't understand. Like it just
What's
was
wrong
so,
with these people?
Yeah, I couldn't. It was so different from anything.
You don't like your humor in the corn.
It's exactly. I didn't like unless it's a Children of the Corn sketch show, which I'm still waiting for.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah, Malachi had some real chops.
We're overdue.
The thing I have to point out though is like the total and almost instantaneous in geological terms extinction of Hee Haw and anything like it, because it went from country for a long time right up until around this time, right around until the early 90s was, big, junior samples and bib overalls and girls dressed like Daisy May and, the cornfield and everything, guys in, hillbilly hats and everything. Then suddenly, boom. It suddenly became grotesquely overweight people at Walmart going in
NASCAR.
And NASCAR. And maybe it was NASCAR that killed it, but no more hillbillies, no more Daisy May, no more hound dogs.
Karen in your backseat.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'll take the mountain lion named Karen.
But they don't look at that like Southern face.
No.
You know what I mean? There's not like it's not because the people in that area and all the people I know who grew up there are like ashamed of it or anything. It's just like America didn't like that that sort of caricature anymore, something like that.
Right. I mean, we used to spend holidays up at a friend's ranch up in Nevada sometimes. And I remember when I was about 18 or, maybe even a little younger, there was a bar, there was a saloon and, a bar and a place you could get a hamburger, and you walk in, there were guys dressed like cowboys and farmers and everything like that. And then I went back about 10 years ago and everybody's dressed like in button down shirts, and they all sell like pool filters and they are real estate and they're
cell phone accessories.
Yeah, exactly. And yet they're the same guys who grew up with all that. It just vanished completely, and it's still the country, but it's got this weird sort of
it's harder to be isolated now.
Yeah.
I think the world is so much smaller that even in the Hee Haw country you have the internet, and so they can kind of it's harder to be years behind and stuff, and they people don't take pride as much now in like we'd never change. Yeah. Unless you're like a hipster who's like, no, I don't have a TV. It's like almost like a totally weird thing. And I remember one of my favorite Christmas specials of all time is 1990s Dolly's Christmas Down Home, where she's walking around Dollywood, and she has the Dollywood mascot, and she actually calls him, I forget his name, but she calls him, it's our ridiculous hillbilly from Dollywood. Like, that's the character's name. And he's all like, oh, hi, Dolly. And I'm like, but even then, it seems really archaic. Like, this is weird. But it is odd how that totally disappeared. They tried to do a new Hee Haw, though, in the late 90s.
Yeah, urban Hee Haw.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was like in living color Hee Haw. Yeah. It was real weird.
That's not a good idea at all.
No,
it didn't.
And it
Go
wasn't.
back to our Children of the Corn comedy special.
I enjoy this, We get Isaac and he hosts, and really good. Although, you can't do that on television, may have been the closest thing to Children of the Corn comedy special.
That was
I don't know. Bart.
It was one of the reasons I thought, if I ever a performer and ever get famous, it's all my ambition to go on Hee Haw and say, Hee Haw salutes my hometown, Orinda, California, population 14,000, salute. So I don't think they'll ever get it, but so I'm just.
Next on-camera interview,
what?
You do.
Yeah.
I don't even care who it's for or what it's for.
Just spit it
you
out
just
there.
have to do it.
Hee Haw salutes my hometown, Orinda, California. Okay, great.
And they'll be like, okay.
All right.
They're going to leave it in.
Yeah. It'd be funny if we just found out that Hee Haw actually never stopped. They just stopped filming it.
Yeah.
So it's like all the people from Hee Haw are in this studio every week doing the show for no one.
Call BL534.
I'd believe it. Like just the lost. They're like the Japanese soldiers on islands after the war ended.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Now I'm really. This could be a thing. I would like this. Yeah. Hee Haw reunion movie. So you're going with Hee Haw at 6. You gotta tune in for Hee Haw.
And we're holding our Sears WishBooks.
Yep. Sears WishBook ad was in there.
Sears WishBooks.
There's an ad in there for that.
Yep.
All freaked out.
Yeah. Because at the time I would have been about
24.
Well, and I'm still going through the wish book, circling everything that I want for Christmas that year.
Yeah.
And
so for the people that don't know what the wish book is, I don't know what you're.
It was a phone book size Sears catalog. They had 3 or 4 Sears catalogs a year for every quarter, and the wish book was their Christmas one, and it had the toy section. So all the other ones were just clothes.
And they were tabbed, right?
Like
you said, this is toys
Yeah,
and
it's
you
a
would
huge.
I know exactly where to go.
It weighed like 20 pounds.
Yeah.
It was enormous. And it was toys. A lot of them I found out later were toys that never even got produced. So what they would do basically is say, if we get people to pre-order enough of these in the wish book, we'll actually make these toys. But they didn't. So a lot of times you see like the only existing photo of this toy line that never happened is in the Sears wish book.
That's why I never got my Western Animal set.
That's why. Yeah.
Because I had a set and I really wanted it one year. It's like Animals of the Old West. And it was like plastic action figure. There was a grizzly bear, a mountain lion, and a longhorn steer. And I said, I really want this. I never did.
Yeah. They just didn't, you were probably the only person that ordered it or something.
Yeah.
And but then they'd have these
The
like.
Hee Haw kid wants the grizzly bear and the cow.
I want this Hee Haw action playset.
Yeah.
And they don't have it. But it was really weird. And they'd have like beds shaped like race car. Just things no kid would ever have.
I'm looking up the Animals of the Old
Okay.
West.
No,
Christmas
I've
is
looked.
sorted?
They never made it. I've looked and I've looked. And
Hey, listener, why don't you make Paul an Animals of the Old West playset with you an Etsy's custom set?
Like I can get a plastic grizzly bear and a
It's not the
longhorn
same.
steer. It's
not the same.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the original catalog again.
We
And that
had-
would have been from like 1970 or something.
And we had service merchandise as well in the Boston area. Yes,
that.
which is the same thing. And you would go and you'd write on a piece of paper the thing you wanted.
Yeah.
And it would come down on the conveyor belt. It was really weird. Yeah. You'd go into a store and flip through a catalog in the store, which was very strange.
That would be like walking into Amazon today and like it would just
Sort of,
like
yeah.
a drone
You know
would
how
fly
when
it out to you.
When you order at White Castle, they
Yeah.
deliver it like the bank tube.
I never figured out how does that go out? Does that go underground or
No, it
overground?
goes up and over. And
Oh, it's that pneumatic tube.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like a big buggy, a cart, and they just put all your junk in this giant cart. You put your money in a cup.
Oh, weird.
In it, and then you send it just like you do at the bank.
Yeah.
And then they put your food, they get your money, they put your food, they put in the cart, they put your change in the cup, and then they send it back to you.
Do you want to
you
eat
know
with
what?
nobody? No human interaction eating?
None at all.
Hey,
And
today is
service merchandise is very much
Yeah.
the same
Speaking
thing.
of White Castle, you remember White Castle Super Bowl Sunday?
In a hot tub.
Our first Super
Janet
Bowl.
Jackson year.
Yeah, Janet. Oh, yeah, Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson.
We watched that in a hot tub.
Really?
hot tub.
Sitting
Eating
in a
White
hot tub
Castle?
watching the
Eating
Super
White
Bowl,
Castle.
Eating White Castle.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's the best possible way. I don't even
That was
like
a
the Super
good
Bowl,
date.
and that sounds
That was
like
a
good
great
date.
date. That
Yeah.
was a great date.
Janet Jackson's boob in a hot tub
Yeah.
eating White Castle.
Eating
I
White
think
Castle.
we also had pizza.
Why not?
I
White
think we
Castle
did.
pizza?
No.
I'd like a
we
large
had-
we had
pizza
ordered
with
a
White
pizza
Castle.
and White Castle.
That is
It was
decadence.
gluttony in a hot tub.
Yeah.
And a boob.
And a
Yeah.
boob.
You've just described America. That is the American dream.
I think there were
Hee Haw is alive.
Yeah.
and the motel. I think there were people getting shot outside the parking
I'm
lot.
sure
That
was
That was
a really
on Gratiot,
bad
so-
area.
I worked
We
at the
were-
local CBS affiliate on the audience complaint line that year.
Oh,
How
boy.
did that work out for you?
Oh, I was in college and that was my job, and I got the most hilarious old people phone calls of just, and it's Boston too, so
Can you
like,
please make that your new podcast?
yeah, just
hilarious
the calls.
old people phone calls. Can
I
that
do.
please?
I wish I saved them. Because they would just. Oh, and it was Boston, so you get like, since it was Janet Jackson, a lot of them would be like really old racist phone calls.
no.
Oh, it was just amazing, and I almost got fired from that job because we were not supposed to talk to the media. Obviously, I'm like 20 and I don't care. And I'm like a punk rock kid who's like, I don't know. And they were always, it's the apocalypse when a snowstorm's coming in Boston because they want to show the weatherman 24 hours a day. So even if it doesn't come, they're just like, hey, batten down the hatches. And we didn't have a snowstorm that they've been talking about for 4 days. It's going to be a snowstorm. Old people out of control yelling at me. So someone from the,
Out of control.
Oh, yeah.
Autobiography.
Old
by
people
Ken
are
Reed.
the masters of
Yelling.
like unwitting, probably not meaning it. Racism. You know?
They
It's
just
so
don't even know it's a
deeply
thing.
ingrained. Yeah,
oh, certainly.
Yeah.
And they would just call and just immediately start yelling at you.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's like the black girl showed her nipple or something like that.
What is this? You can't even get white nipples on your television these days.
So racist and sexist.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
that was one. But they were so mad that the snowstorm never happened. And the Boston Globe called. Yeah, because they were like, I canceled my plans. My grandson was going to visit and he's not here now. It was crazy. Or if it did snow, they would be like, you caused this. Like, you could never win.
Now, I lived in Boston, bro. I lived in.
Open a complaint line at our house.
Yeah, do it.
You just like leave the number of places and just pick it up.
It
We'll be
was
like, can I get all your personal information?
Yeah.
We'll get right back with you.
Yes, we'll send you that.
I remember
totally.
I remember snowstorms in Boston. I lived in Cambridge and going to stock up at the local market.
Oh, it's the apocalypse.
Yeah, and the
it's like the mist.
Yep. Our local market was a gourmet food store called Savinor's.
Still there.
Still there.
Yep.
And it's like, there's going to be a snowstorm. Okay, I'm going to need some zebra, rattlesnake.
Oh, this pate.
Steve, you want some kangaroo? How are they fixed for a hippo? I'll get the hippo.
How long can I make this barracuda last?
They had wild game there. They had this huge. It was like exotic game from all over the world. So my roommate and I, Steve Langford, we'd barricade ourselves in, and it's like, and we eat like cavemen. Hippo, I'm still working on my lion.
Can I chew on that elephant leg you got over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there, and they still have those things.
Oh God.
So the Globe called.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
were like, hey, and I think they might have said they were from the Globe, but I didn't really wasn't really paying attention. And they were like, have people been calling and complaining? And I'm like, oh yeah, these damn old people. And then they quoted me in the paper.
Oh boy.
It's like CBS Boston employee Ken Reed says these damn old people.
Oh boy.
So
Please put that in your
I
publicity
need to
stuff.
find it. I
You've
need to
gotta
have it.
find
Yeah.
and put
These
it on-
damn old people.
Yeah.
There's a podcast.
Yeah, these
title.
damn old people.
It's like the Tom Lehrer, Mr. Lehrer is unfettered by such things as taste.
Exactly.
It's like this. I want those quotes so bad in my publicity stuff. You have no idea. You got to find it.
I gotta
These
find it because it
damn
was
old
in there. It's got to be on microfilm.
Yeah.
And we had to hide that day's paper from the GM of the company.
Oh boy.
And he was like, because he couldn't go. I guess he didn't understand. You could look him up online. So like, we just didn't get the paper that day, and it was real fun.
Oh, that's great.
Are we still on Saturday?
I think so. What else did we get after that? So I think we have to
Golden
go.
Girls.
We never even
Golden
got
Girls.
that. We didn't talk about Airwolf. We didn't.
Oh,
talk
Airwolf.
We're right here. We're Eworks and Droids / Sears WishBook. It isn't even 7:00.
Oh
on
my
Saturday.
dear God! Yeah. Well, people enjoy this. It's fun
Airwolf.
chat.
Ernest Borgnine.
Jan Michael Vincent.
In a helicopter, I believe.
It was
Like Blue Thunder.
Yeah. Well, it was more like Knight Rider helicopter.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Because everyone was like, everyone loves this Knight Rider show. Yeah. Let's rip it off with various forms of transportation.
Okay.
So you had Street Hawk.
Yeah, that's right.
And Mantis.
Yep.
And Airwolf. There was no boat one. Was there a boat one? There was no super boat show.
Well, there was a boat in Miami Vice, wasn't there?
But
got
it wasn't.
into a boat,
wasn't
but
sentient.
No,
yeah,
it wasn't.
So they missed a trick there. Yeah. And then it was the premiere of Golden Girls that night.
Yeah.
Which you hate, Paul.
I despise.
And I love.
Okay. Let's get into this a little.
Oh,
What?
Oh my God! I carry my purse like Sophia, and I
Yeah.
shuffle around like that. And I'm not sure if I was inspired by her or if we're just kindred. I am an old, crabby person at my core. See, I should be calling your line.
Yeah, you should be calling and being like, in 1984, why isn't Golden Girls a thing yet?
Every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
But why do you hate
I
it?
work that on the channel every single day. I don't need this Airwolf shit.
And now we're PG.
But Ernest Borgnine. Ernest Borgnine was basically Golden Girls.
And you know what else? I actually liked it so much, and a friend of mine, Trish, loves it so much. I bought her prayer candles.
Yeah, with
of the Golden
ladies.
Girls. Like they've turned them into the saints, and like.
So I understand why you love it.
It wasn't my thing.
Why you just couldn't identify? It was like your Hee Haw?
It was
For me?
no. It
My
was.
dad hated it too. He called it the Olden Girls, and he was like, "Why do people watch this?"
It
Nobody
was
wants
like
to watch
a parade of pastel and hairspray and
Yes.
regret.
So
and
the
weirdness.
Miami was what
And
did it.
regret
Miami
and weirdness.
And regret
Yes.
and weirdness. And if I wanted to listen to that, I would listen to my mom yakking with her twin sister. Then I could get it in stereo. Two old ladies yelling.
So it was it hit too close to home for you, is what you're saying.
Well, no, actually, my mom and her sister were kind of entertaining. But but I don't know. I guess it was like when which one's the one who had a lot of sex? Or
Blanche.
Clint?
Oh yeah, Blanche.
Did you ever have sex? Really? I can't.
That was a little
So
gross.
because you didn't find Blanche sexy, you had a problem. You misogynist.
I know.
Ageist.
I know.
If
I know,
Blanche had
I
been
know.
sexier, I would have been all
It was
over
guys. All right, I admit it. If it was guys talking about their sexual conquest, I would have watched. But old ladies made me feel uncomfortable because I couldn't visualize it. It was just weird and alien.
What if Blanche was Catherine Hellmond of Who's the Boss fame, who was the horny Mona and was an attractive
it's not
lady?
better.
It's not better.
It's not
Okay.
better.
Well, that makes me feel better. It wasn't just a physical look of Blanche thing.
Could we recast with Anne Ramsey from Goonies and her boyfriend is Ernest Borgnine?
I'm into it.
Because that would be like watching rhinos go at
Yeah, I'm into it. But you know what? If it was, if Golden,
That was Anne Ramsey in Goonies, wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yes. Sean Astin told me she quote did her own grunting.
Oh. Mob Fratelli?
The Fratellis.
Fratellis,
Yeah, the Fratellis.
Fratelli
Yeah. Joey Pants, one of the Fratelli brothers.
Joey Pants. Sounds like a fake thing, but it was real.
Yep.
Love, chunk.
Yes, I love that movie.
Truffle smell.
Yeah, Truffle Shuffle.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
correct.
the original fat shaming. That's the Truffle Shuffle.
Butterfinger.
Yeah.
Was it a
No,
Butterfinger?
Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth.
Because
Brown candy.
fat kids exist to be made fun of as Steven Spielberg.
Absolutely, they do. Apparently,
Steven Spielberg's got a big problem with the overweight.
It's a very Hong Kong style comedy.
Yeah.
Like it's just like
Yeah.
it's really weird, old fashioned. I feel like if Spielberg could get away with giving them a beanie and a giant lollipop in all his movies,
Yeah.
he would do it.
Herbie
Yeah.
the Fat Fury.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fall
Yeah.
of 2018.
Yeah, nothing's funnier than the fat kid.
Yes.
The first thing you see in Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, fat.
Yeah. He's
Ruddy
like,
face fat.
this is gold.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with it. And in Schindler's List, they opened with that fat kid, and it was
It was also hilarious.
uncomfortable. You know, I was like, why are you? I don't understand this. So
Hobby has a real thing about this. He says Steven Spielberg always open up. Our friend Hobby.
Why? What?
He says that's Steven Spielberg's hallmark. Always make fun of, open on a fat kid, make fun of, and then
That's
you've got
not
the
nice.
audience. Well, that's what Hobby.
yeah, it's not Steven Spielberg officially isn't like teaching a class and
He's
be
written
like,
a book.
all right, the overweight in film. Now, let me tell you how to do
Chapter
this.
1,
Yes.
Start on a funny fat kid.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
The
When I
ruddier
was
your face, the better.
here's some deleted scenes from Duel. People ask me, Steven, what was that truck carrying? This kid's food. They cut it out. I hit and like, what do you do? This is horrible. Why are you so cruel?
The first scene is Dennis Weaver backing the car out over a fat kid on a bike. Oh, sorry, fat kid.
Yes. See, the thing is, the truck's not chasing him. The truck is running from a fat kid. It's a subtext I did not put in the film.
The truck is actually filled with fat kids.
Oh, God. Did you ever see the Garbage Pail Kids movie?
No.
Yeah, I did. Actually, I admit that.
Did you
Oh,
read it?
man.
No.
Oh.
In that movie.
I always have to ask because half the time you did.
You wrote it? Yeah. I did a pass on
You
it.
ever seen Double Dragon? I wrote it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
That was
I won't say what I was going to say about it. No.
Okay.
But the Garbage Pail Kids movie
Uh-huh.
has a state home for the ugly
Yeah.
Oh.
in it.
Where do I sign up?
Yeah, and you'd be all right because these are like alligator children.
Yeah.
Just to view them like the human zoo.
But yeah, do they have glass walls? So that
They
we can
do.
watch?
They do.
Perfect.
So the whole movie is like the government's trying to capture these kids to put them in the state home for the ugly, and they're trying to break them out. And then in this state home for the ugly is like Santa Claus.
Wow.
And I'm like, is this pro or con? I don't understand what you're trying to share here as a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Cabin in the Woods where there's a unicorn. And
Yeah, it's very weird.
Like, why are they all in
Who are the real monsters?
I remember hearing about the Garbage Pail Kids, like they ran out of money halfway through and they were only able to make, not all the Garbage Pail Kids they wanted to. So at one point, Anthony Newley, who's the star of the Garbage Pail movies, says, well, we can't rescue these Garbage Pail Kids. And he rattles off a bunch of them that were supposed to appear in the movie, but they ran out of money and they couldn't make the costumes or models of them.
So they said we can't rescue
So
them?
it all happened off screen.
And they all die.
Yeah,
Basically.
they all die. Yeah.
Here are some really cool ones that die.
Yeah.
It'd be like a Pokemon movie where they were like,
Yeah.
here's 3 Pokemon, and here's all some other ones we're to name that are all dead.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
like
the
Poochie
worst.
going back to his home planet. Before he says anything, they lift the cell up. He
He's
dies
just
on his
gone.
way back.
Yeah.
The Simpsons.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
When
Poochie
you
and
say,
Scratch.
listen, I'm a little kid in the 80s. When you say Poochie, I think of a pink-haired little white dog.
Oh, yes. Poochie.
I think of Poochie from The Simpsons. Wiggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
Yours is better.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
But mine
Although a
was rad.
pink-haired little white dog is pretty
Pretty
rad.
rad.
Yeah, it's like Rude Dog and the Dweebs.
Oh, I remember that. Then you're getting into like early 90s.
Yeah.
Early 89.
It's a dog with attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Spuds McKenzie.
Spuds McKenzie. Yeah, they were basically like, can we take this beer mascot and make him a children's cartoon?
Yeah.
And they did.
And they did.
And they
and
did.
Target was like, actually, you know what? We'll also take him and appropriate him and
Yeah.
put a little target on his eye.
And if this works out, Joe Camel the series is going to be huge.
Yeah.
All the kids will be
Yeah,
smoking.
yeah.
4.5.
I
first
pitched
pack of
Ishtar the cartoon.
Yeah.
And I got Joe Camel in there. And there's a genie.
Yeah.
It's working.
tickets. Ishtar the
Joe Camel always has a lollipop in his mouth. He takes
Yeah.
out to show it's a lollipop, but it goes back in,
Yeah.
so you just see the white stick.
Yeah.
So subliminally, the kids.
And the magic comes out of the end.
There
Which
it
is,
is.
yeah.
That's
shoots
it. That's
out,
where the
yeah.
genie comes out.
It'd be funny if you found out that Disney's Aladdin started as a Joe Camel cartoon.
Yeah.
Someone came in and pitched it, they bought it, and it slowly evolved into
Yeah.
Aladdin.
I do know that Aladdin was originally a vehicle for Mickey Mouse.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I went in for a pitch meeting to animation, like right around the time they were releasing Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
And they had all this art on the wall of Mickey, Donald, and Goofy going around the old bazaar in Baghdad and finding the magic lamp. And then it changed into more of the traditional Aladdin
That'd
story.
be really interesting to see because they were kind of making a comeback in animation at Disney, and it would have been like, this is the one where we get our characters back in a movie, which I don't think they did till the Goofy movie or something.
You know, a lot of movies have started out as a vehicle. They look at everything as a vehicle for Mickey, you know, like the big stories, like, you know, classic stories like Treasure Island they thought about with Mickey. Robin Hood was like a vehicle for Mickey at one point throughout the studio's history. They finally did the Three Musketeers with Mickey, but, you know, it's like, how do we bring back Mickey? And a lot of times is, we don't know who this character is.
Right.
You know, what is he? Is he a hero? Is he a scamp? Is he, you know, a nice little guy? So they look for vehicles to put him in, and then they get something like Three Musketeers or Christmas Carol, where you can put him in a stock role and have everybody fill in around him. And I think they were going to do the same with Aladdin, but then they realized, you know what? Let's just
do it as Aladdin, have a
just
new
do it as
property.
Aladdin,
Yeah, there's a Boston comic named Gary Gulman who has a great bit about where he's just like, Mickey Mouse isn't anyone's favorite character. Then no one's like, remember that funny thing Mickey Mouse did?
Yeah.
He never did anything funny. He's not in any cartoons. He's not Bugs Bunny.
No.
There's no cartoons you can see. And he's just, and I'm like, oh, you're right. And I have looked.
Among cartoon geeks, I can tell you one funny thing that Mickey Mouse did. And that is in the Cartoon Symphony Hour, where he's playing a band leader and he's trying to do a serious thing. The instruments gets crushed, and suddenly they're on trying to play serious music. The instruments are crushed, and it all comes out sounding like Spike Jones. Donald Duck is in process of quitting, and he actually kind of, you know, packs up his stuff and leaves. And before he can get to the door, Mickey zooms in front of him, pulls out a huge gun, and shoves it in his face, and Donald runs back and finishes it.
Oh, so murder is funny.
Murder is funny.
Yeah, all right.
Mickey with a gun in his hand is hysterically funny.
Well,
you don't expect it.
A lot of people don't know Leon the Professional started as a Mickey Mouse vehicle. The Luc Besson movie.
Yeah.
And then they recast it.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman was supposed to be Donald Duck.
Oh, there.
Very good
Yeah,
casting.
that's very good.
Are you Young Ones fans? The Young Ones, the British.
Oh, yeah.
I've been trying to equate the Young Ones to Golden Girls and figure out who is who, but someday I'll figure it out. So
now, Golden Girl, you like them? I mean, I'm
You're
too
trying
hard.
so hard.
I'm
You're
too
trying
hard. I'm
so
too hard on him. I
this is
appreciate
true
the
love.
writing.
Like, you're really trying.
He really is. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. And he knows that he's largely intolerant of things that inconvenience or dismay him. And the Golden Girls is one of those, but he also knows I'm terribly fond of it. And so he's really trying to wrap his mind around it. And he's been trying for about 10 years now.
Struggling.
To really work it out. And he's having a problem.
Our friend Chris Lloyd, who created Modern Family, I believe
And
that was
Frasier.
and Frasier. I believe that was his first job. He was writing on the Golden
They
Girls.
had a pretty killer writing staff on that show.
Those
He was
jokes are
like
funny.
23
Yeah.
when he would have been writing on Golden.
I was watching one earlier today, and it was really funny. Rose had to do a roast of a local newscaster at some event, and it was really sharp, like funny jokes where she couldn't think of anything, and he started dating Blanche. So the guy's mother came over to tell Blanche to get away from him, and she's like, "He can't be with you. He can't go to the bathroom anywhere but his own house, and he's afraid of clowns and in the dark
So
and all
Rose
this
was
stuff."
like-
No, Rose was like, "I can't think of anything about it." That was like the joke where he had all these things. It was so funny. And then she goes, "Here's my opening joke. I hope you guys like the Cornish game hens." And B. Arthur was like, I don't understand. She goes, "Oh, I have to set it up. We're having Cornish game hens at the event." And she goes, "Okay." She goes, "That's it." And it was just like these really funny, weird things that were kind of playing with sitcom jokes,
Right.
Where it was much more knowing than your average sitcom. I thought.
And
It was
you know what's
clever.
interesting is they actually had a group where all those people, like the guy from Tom from Newhart,
Yep.
Betty White, B. Arthur, and all those people used to go and get together. There was a Pacific Radio Broadcasters. Do you know what those
Oh, yeah.
is?
Oh, yeah.
The Pacific Radio Broadcasters group, and they would get up on the dais and make fun of each other. They would do
They
this
were all
roast.
friends. Like,
Oh,
it was,
and we
old
went to
showbiz.
one.
Oh, wow.
We got to go to one, and it was it Tom that they were? I know
Tom
spoke.
Poston?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
spoke. I think who else was there? I can't remember who they were after.
Wow.
But it was like and it was quick.
Yeah.
And every one of them was hysterical, and they all just one after the other just got up and went bam, bam,
Their
bam.
chops were unbelievable.
Whoa, were they honed and refined?
Yeah.
And I was sitting there going, holy Christmas, these
Yeah.
people are professional.
Well, here's the
I mean,
thing.
they were so funny. And it was a lot of it was just right off the cuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just like, oh, yeah, remember that time we did that? Remember when you screwed that up? And I mean, it was just Our friend Mark Nelson took us to a lunch there.
Yeah. Oh, well, here's the thing about Golden Girls. Okay, I wasn't the biggest fan of the show, but
you're allowed to hate it, dear.
I don't hate it because
It's okay if you hate it.
No, he does hate it.
I think the reason it kind of threw me off is I liked Sophia. I thought she was really funny.
Yes.
But I felt bad for the other characters because every guy they were dating died. It always seemed like I was turning on the scene. Oh, I was dating this guy and he died. Oh, everybody's dying on the show.
That's, hey, that's old age, man.
I know, but...
So it reminded you of mortality, and that's where it was an existential crisis you had with Golden Girls.
It was too mature for your young tastes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not only did you not want to shtuff the old ladies, but also all their boyfriends were croaking.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is too much for me to handle
But the croaking
in my sitcom.
It
Where's
does fix the sex thing if their boyfriends are dead.
Indeed.
Hopefully.
Oh, I almost just went in a
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, we were all thinking
to
it.
crack open a cold
Yep. Ooh, we'll add that to the Just the Tips box.
And that's not the one I was going to give you.
Yeah.
That's cleaner than what I was going to say.
You went Spuds McKenzie on that one.
I did.
But here's
I did.
Yeah.
You did. Nice.
But here's what I mourn is that there are no shows like that anymore.
Right.
Like there is no if you are over 31, you are banned from television.
I disagree. I think that there are shows like that, but now they're a lot more
Sunny
reality.
in Philadelphia.
Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that I think that in the mid 80s, it was not okay to have a show about 5 women living together. And so the only way they could get around it was they're old and they're widowers or whatever.
Well, there's
They did the
designing
Facts of
women.
Life.
But the Facts of Life, they were still like
Young and being cared
yeah, they
for.
were under the guise of Mrs. Garrett.
Yeah.
Whereas now you get a show like New Girl or something like that, where it's basically a similar dynamic, but it's okay to have some 20-somethings or friends or that it seems more okay without a conceit.
Yeah.
Well, and we're in a different spot. I mean, there was like horse blinders on everybody back then.
Yes.
Also,
indeed.
there are a lot more choices. Like you can come up with more interesting and diverse ideas for sitcoms on cable, and on some of the other networks, because most of the networks are pretty. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of network TV because it's like talent shows and reality shows, and the sitcoms they're on are few and far between.
Well, because
they're all the same.
Stuff has changed to event television because of DVRs. They have to do
right.
stuff that is live, and you need to, it's sports. It's a sports model.
Yeah, that's true.
If you missed it, you can't watch it on DVR because you missed the big reveal, and so everyone
and you'll get spoiled in the morning. So they want you to sit and tune in.
Right.
That's a really good point. I've never really heard it put that way.
They have to do that. It's
someone and I we were talking about it the other day, and I said I feel like we are in entertainment kind of at the same crossroads that they were years ago when vaudeville and talkies were battling it out.
Yep,
absolutely. And now it's sort of like, are we going to go internet? Are we still going to do this? And how do you navigate that? And even more so, how do you monetize it?
Yeah.
And people are really like, I'm really curious to see what's going to push forward and become the working model, and how fast that's going to happen, because it's morphing so fast and it's so nebulous right now.
Yeah, and nobody knows. No one has a handle on it.
And there's all these YouTube celebrities that are getting paid X number of dollars to Instagram a picture of themselves with a Mountain Dew, and yet how long is that going to last? Only as long as their followers are up and responsive.
Yeah.
And so it's fleeting, and fame is so instant. It's so fleeting. We were just talking about the instantaneous
well,
fame
somebody
in the
who might
car.
have like millions of followers online, and yet they're working 2 jobs just to pay the rent.
Or I have a very good friend who's a YouTube celebrity and has hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter, and is always doing other things to, they're doing cross hybridization, and you bring your followers, I'll bring mine, and all this stuff. Makes $80,000 a year, works a 16-hour day, 7 days.
Yeah.
Produces 6 YouTube shows. And she's very happy with that money.
But
She's
that's
like,
a
it's more than I
real
was
hustle.
making.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a lot more work than I would do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yet she's famous and I'm not. You know what I mean?
But it seems so,
it's like, it's really interesting.
It seems so weird and ephemeral. It's like dancing on moonbeams, of fame. Like millions of people watch, and yet I couldn't get a meeting at CBS. That sort of thing.
And that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
I just read an article. Was it Vanity Fair? I think just ran an article about current YouTube celebrities and how they're trying to run over into the movie market.
Right. They don't know how to make it into the other thing that's interesting now that I think is a bubble and will not do well is that because of all these, CISO and Amazon and Hulu and Netflix are on this arms race, and they're like, we're going to lose money, but we just want to be the last man standing, and we just want to have the most content or be the sort of seal of quality content so that we're the good one and then everyone else goes out of business. So they're just dumping money into stuff. And it reminds me of the early days of cable when there was so much air to fill. They just wanted content. So some great stuff is getting through because they're just like, just do it. It might work. I don't know anything, but it'll burst. And then the next thing that happens after that is, I don't know. You know, that's where
they'll start showing commercials on Netflix.
Yeah.
That's what's going to start happening.
Yeah.
Well,
because that's what happened with cable.
Yeah.
Here's pay TV. No commercials. Oh, but there's going to be commercials in between the shows.
Just a couple.
Now we're going to stick them in the middle.
Yeah.
And they're just for us.
Yeah.
And now it's for other people. Now we're doing product placement and we're stopping in the middle. And it's just like, oh my gosh.
You know, in some ways, TV was like we got to TV, traditional network TV too soon because it was like the internet should have come along. That should have been like gold rush time and then it got on network television and that's how you make your money. But it's, you can be a huge star online and yet everybody's attitude is like, so what? I see it for free. You're on there twice a week with new content. I don't have to pay anything.
It's like if
It's
like if Tesla's idea of just free energy beat them to the punch and then Edison comes along and is like, I can bring it right to your house. It would cost you a little money. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
We pay you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like 15, 16 years ago, I remember a lot of animators were saying, thank God for the internet. It's going to be a golden age of creativity because finally we won't have the networks. We won't have censors. We can do whatever we want. And that never happened because it's so damn expensive to make animation. It needs the funding for it to exist, for it to be even kind of good. You need a corporation, paying the animators, even just trying to use music. It's
and they're
hard.
not going to do that to be an arts patron. They're only going to do that if they can make money.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's like they'll say, I'll fund your internet cartoon and I'm going to own all, the IP and all
we're going to run
all
an
the,
ad beforehand.
Yeah. And then, you know what? We just hired somebody who's going to kind of go over your scripts. And, yes, you will be writing scripts.
Yeah.
And meet our censor and everything.
But I mean, it's like this podcast, I lose money on this every week.
Oh, yeah. We did one too.
Yeah, but it's like, it's my favorite thing that I've ever done. And, and it's also that gets the most penetration of the world with this thing. And it's like,
and you get a really fun roster.
It's fun, yeah.
It's a
like,
really good idea to break the ice. And
it's
not awkward. Like, so how's it going?
So
remember
tell
that one time
me.
you did that one thing?
It's Chris Farley shale style. Yeah. And it's the kind of thing where people keep it like, how you could do that for a living. You have X amount. And I'm like, it's the best of time, worst of time.
Yeah, totally. And I get the same thing. We just did a documentary. I did a documentary with Vice. They came and followed the girls and I around just to see what it was like to be a female magician.
Right.
It's some novel, whatever. And it was fun. But as a result, I get a couple, at least a few, calls about doing reality shows a month.
Yeah.
And I got a note from, we went to Deal Memo, something. They sent it. And I read it and went, are you kidding me? We own everything. You have absolutely no privacy.
Yeah.
We're going to follow you, even when you think you should, i.e. in the bathroom, in the vehicle, and nowhere. And it says, even when you think you should, like in the deal.
Jeez.
No privacy. We own everything. You own nothing. You give us everything for a year, and I think it was like 10 years in the vault after that.
Well, the craziest thing isn't that that's the agreement. The crazy thing is people sign it.
Well, yeah, I remember a guy.
And I said, oh, hell no. And I sent them back a note that said, thank you very much for this.
Not for me.
It's insulting.
Yeah.
This is not appropriate for me. And they wrote back and said, well, what would you change?
Everything.
And I wrote back and said, the following points. And she said, our lawyer wants to talk to you. We're ready to try to make a deal. And I'm like, and I was thinking about it, and I thought, what do I need you for?
Yeah.
Why can't I just hire a camera crew?
Yeah.
To follow us around, edit it so my finger's on the editing button.
Yeah.
And pitch it myself.
That's what I've been like. And comics think I'm crazy. Yeah. I've turned down all kinds of deals and stuff. They think I'm nuts. And I'm like, but this is not a good deal. Or like putting on an album. Yeah. I'm like, you don't understand, for a very small investment, you can just do it yourself and you own the whole thing. Like
Louis
there's no, it's a little more work and you have to front the money, a little bit of money.
It's easier than it's ever been.
Yeah. And it's weird.
I've run into that in cartooning, and there are times I have a file full of characters that I've never sold and that I've had a lot of offers on, simply because I just hated the deal, and I hated the idea of basically what you were doing is taking a box of kittens and offering them for free in front of a supermarket. Like 25 years ago, there was a major kids network starting up, and I had a meeting with them, and I took in some sketches, and they said, we're not wild about the format you put this character in, but we love the character. You want to come back? Can you just make the show about this character? And I said, okay. And they go, and here's our deal memo. And
yeah.
Oh my God. What's this part about firstborn child and sign and blood?
Yeah.
It's a standard deal. And that night I went over to a cartoonist friend's house, and then he said, "Did you do the pitch to the network?" And I said, "Yeah." "Did you?" And he goes, "Yeah, they didn't like every idea of mine, but they liked this dog and cat character or sideline characters, and I think I'm going to make the deal." And I said, Are you serious? He goes, "I don't care about these characters. And they're just sideline characters." And I said, "You will at some point." And, they did, and later on he ran into some trouble over that. But I just said, I'm going to take my character and go home. I'm going to stay working with Bugs Bunny and Batman because they can take those characters away from me, and at some point, and I don't really care.
Yeah,
but
it's not as personal to you now. It's not coming total. You don't want to get John Fogerty'd. You don't want to get sued for ripping off your own music and lose.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing I could think of.
I don't want to turn in the first cartoon and have somebody coming in. Right, love it, big fan. Oh, these are the new guys doing the cartoon. You're out. We're going to still put your name on there somewhere.
Did you ever see the show, The Famous Teddy Z?
Yes, I love that show. What a buried treasure. I love that
Amazing show.
About a young agent, about a young ethical agent.
And he was in the mailroom, and he basically a Marlon Brando type actor. He's driving him, and the guy's a real dick, and he decks him.
Yeah.
And so he goes, "Oh, you're going to be my new agent now."
Yeah.
So Alex Rocco's the old agent, but there's an episode that is so good about this kind of thing. This couple comes in, they pitch a documentary show about poor people in South America, and by the end of the show is now about a woman in a tube top with a talking dolphin, but. Throughout the show, it makes sense how it gets there, because it's one exec comes in and be like, maybe we need this, and they're like, okay, and they're agreeing to stuff, but it's so well done because you're in the episode, you're like, and you go, I kind of get how this happened, but if you just say from here to here, it's crazy, but they logically, I'm like, I assume this happens all the time.
It does.
Alex Rocco played the greatest sleazy agent, slimy
Al Floss.
Al Floss. And I think there was one episode, and it's one of my favorite endings of any sitcom, where they piss off a client of theirs, and it's a chimp. Yeah. And he has to apologize, and the last shot is Alex Rocco following the chimp down the beach, trying to talk him into coming back.
Yeah. It's a great show.
But it was.
I want to see it.
I can hook you up. 1990, and it got canceled and won an Emmy a year after it was canceled.
It was really funny because there are a lot of times. There are sometimes when show business people are able to take out their anger on the business.
Yeah.
They can do something really funny, but nobody else gets it.
Yeah.
Because as weird as it is, everybody thinks of Hollywood still, with all the jokes about it, as being kind of like the end of the Muppet movie. You know, like a movie, write your own ending. You know, they want to believe that Hollywood is Rainbow's End. Yeah. But what it really is venal and awful and
a 9-to-5 slog. Like these guys are in an office slogging. And it was perfect. It was such a funny show. And one of the other things I love about that show is that, to old people being on TV, they wanted to make a show about a not that likable old man character. Yeah. And the network's not going to greenlight that. Yeah. So they go, it's about this young guy, John Cryer, and they greenlight it. And by like the third episode, he's not really in the show very much anymore. And it's almost all about Alex Rocco, which is unbelievable bait and switch that they managed to kind of get.
Dabney Coleman, they would bring him back on TV every once, like Buffalo Bill and everything. Yep. But old crotchety guys, they're very funny. Yeah. But they don't really get the heart.
The family doesn't want to watch Darren McGavin yell at people.
No,
I do.
I certainly do.
Yeah.
I do.
I have a list there's a couple of weird lists that I keep just in my brain that are only for me, I guess. And it's like my favorite yelling old men. Yeah. Eddie Albert.
Oh,
no one does rage like him. Yep.
Love him.
Darren McGavin. And then my other list is songs recorded after Elvis died that I would like to hear Elvis do.
What's on that list?
We have Purple Rain.
Yeah.
Oingo Boingo's Stay.
Okay.
The Human League's Human.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a lot of that kind of stuff. There's just I'm like someday this it's a fun list.
Yeah, it's a really good.
Never happen. Even if I become an eccentric billionaire.
I
want like a full Vegas style 100-piece orchestra.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Not only do the recording, but do it like on a milestone birthday. So all your friends have to show up and endure this situation that you've created.
Did you ever hear of a band called Big Daddy?
Yes.
Yeah. They kind of do that like the modern music done in the old style.
There's so many great songs that would have been fantastic there. Billy Ocean's "There'll Be Sad Songs."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really hear Elvis belting that out.
Get out of my dreams and into my car.
Yeah. Or Loverboy.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Really, any Billy Ocean.
Yeah, anything works
Yeah.
for him. Yeah,
Billy Ocean should have had his own cartoon.
You know
Elvis
what?
doing
Yes, I'm
Bohemian
surprised he
Rhapsody
didn't.
would have been great.
Bohemian
That would have been
Rhapsody.
great.
I'm just a poor boy
Yeah.
from a poor family.
Or Stone Cold Crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there.
Folsom Prison.
Yeah, I apologize that I put this in your head because this will stick with you
Oh, yeah.
when you hear songs on the radio. You're like,
It's
yep.
it's an
I think
earworm
everyone
waiting
should
to
have their
happen.
own personal
Elvis
wish
list?
Elvis had done that one list.
Yeah, I agree. I
What do you
agree.
That's a
have? What's
really
on your
good
list?
idea.
It's
I just
fun.
said Folsom Prison.
That would be
but I
great.
just really like that done on the ukulele. When
Yeah.
he was learning the ukulele, he decided to learn that song almost first.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's a really charming thing about hearing him in the other room going, well, I shot a man in Reno, kinka chinka chinka chinka, just to watch him die. Chinka chinka
Yeah.
chinka chinka.
It's luau murder.
Yeah.
It's such a clash.
It's happy
of
murder.
Yeah.
It's such a clash of context. It
Yeah.
makes me laugh so hard. It's the only way I ever want to hear that song performed again is on the uke.
Yeah.
Because it's got this bright, happy little sound, you know.
There was a band from Japan called Petty Buka.
I like it
And
already.
they only did, and this was 15 years ago before
Yeah.
like ukes kind of got a little hip, and
Yeah.
they just did ukulele covers, cute like Pink Lady and Jeff
Oh, yeah,
style,
yeah.
ukulele covers of punk rock songs and like Blondie songs, and they do this version of The Tide Is High that's amazing. They do I Want to Be Your Boyfriend.
Yes, to all of
yeah,
this.
it's so
Yes.
they have 2 albums, highly recommended. Very
Fantastic.
yeah.
Recommendation accepted.
I'm going to
very
go home
good. And I
and
will
find a
pursue
Petty
it.
side
Buka. Yep, on the uke.
on the uke. And
Yeah.
Dini.
So uke Elvis will be the
Yeah,
new
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
And Uke
that's
Blondie
the-
also.
Yep.
Uke Blondie. I feel
I'd
like
like
she
to hear
could.
you do some uke misfits, maybe. And some
Okay.
Yes.
Ramones. I want to be sedated.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Rock and Roll High School on uke. I can
Yep.
do that.
I want to be sedated. It's funnier.
I think I had a one.
Beat on the brat with a baseball
Beat on the
bat.
Brat would be
Let's lay
good.
that
All
one.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Oh, there is. I do have a Ramon song on my Elvis list.
Which is?
Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't wanna be buried. It would just be fantastic.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
It's important.
It needs to. The
It
world
must.
needs it. That would fix the world.
And you know what? You now have the artist for your soundtrack, Children of the Corn Comedy.
Yes. Yes.
Please have it be.
You know,
Pet
people-
Cemetery cover by an Elvis impersonator. That's
Perfect. People joke about making deals in Hollywood, but we just made $5 million this very
Yeah.
minute.
We did.
Yeah, just in
Just for
seconds.
the pilot.
Just for the pilot alone.
Yeah.
And we own it in perpetuity.
Indeed,
the deal is
because we know now that we're
Exactly.
going to self-produce, and then
Exactly.
they can distribute and
Yeah.
pay us for
You
our
come
content.
to us. You come to us.
Yeah.
Once we get together, this Elvis impersonator, let Stephen King agree to let us do the Children of the Corn Comedy Series. We'll probably sell it to us for $1.
I'm sure, of course.
yeah,
because
this
he's
is-
just going to want to see that.
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Of course. Although he might.
You know what? Let's present it to him in a gift box.
Yeah.
So that when he pulls the ribbon, there's just that anticipation. We can
Yep.
even make it a pop-up book.
Yes.
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 The pitch. It's crystallizing.
Yeah. This is gonna work. Yeah.
I was just thinking about Ramon. Rock and
Yeah.
Roll High School is a movie. Whenever it's on, I just watch the whole thing.
You should.
I don't care if it's the last 2 minutes or I just tune in the credits. It's like Rock and Roll High School is on. I gotta watch this all the way through.
The world lost something when we don't have a Paul Bartel in things anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no modern Paul Bartel.
Is Mary Warneroff still around?
She's
right?
still around. She's an artist now. She does a lot of paintings and stuff. She occasionally will do interviews, and they're amazing because she's one of those people who's reached that age where she just doesn't care.
Her and
And she
Carrie
co-
Fisher.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Gary.
Yeah,
Oh, the dog.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
love
interesting trivia fact for Batman the Animated Series fans. One of the thug hall monitors in that is Lauren Lester, who played Robin in Batman the Animated Series. Every time
wow.
he's on, I go, look, there's Lauren. He's one of the thugs. I think he's eating PJ Soul's goldfish or something
Nice.
like that. Or he's at least in that scene.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't make a movie like that now. It would be a Nickelodeon series or something,
Yeah.
maybe, or maybe 10 years ago, a Nickelodeon series, probably not now.
Well, that's the thing. Riff Randall is like not Nickelodeon nor Disney. I
Right.
mean, she's in some way she's even harder edge than Miley Cyrus is now.
Yeah.
Because she just seemed real honest and real.
There was like a weird
Fun.
sexual edge as well that you would not be allowed to do with her then.
Well, you got the idea that she was sleeping with the entire band,
Well, yeah.
like Joey, but the whole everybody.
Yeah. Well, once you have Didi in the shower.
Yeah. The
It's-
whole bathroom thing where she's getting high and then going to the shower.
Yeah.
And everything.
I guess that wouldn't really fly on Nickelodeon now that I'm thinking about it.
And the giant exploding mice.
Janet oh my God, why am I forgetting the Opie brother? Oh my God, why can I not remember?
Oh, yeah.
Holy
He's playing
Christ.
the weasel in the bathroom.
Yes.
Clint Howard.
Clint Howard,
Clint Howard.
has an office in the bathroom where he sells like drugs and things for people. He's like a fixer.
I saw him and his wife arguing over placemats once.
Oh.
She was so nervous because Ron was coming to their house for Christmas.
You want good placemats.
And they were at the Great Indoor, and she was getting really, really sweet.
Wow.
She wanted the expensive ones, and he was like, we
No
really
way.
don't, he's not going to care. She's
Yeah.
like, I care!
He's my brother and I know. I'm not
And
spending
he
my
was
ice
like,
cream man
it's
money.
really not a thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Trivia question. Another trivia question. What famous Disney character did Clint Howard voice?
Oh.
I would
Was
guess
it-
the Badger because he whistles and he's got
No.
that giant
Going with a
face.
goofy
It was
thing.
long before that.
I know. No, it couldn't have been long before Winnie the Pooh's the Badger.
Oh, no. Oh, the Gopher.
Yeah, the Gopher, yeah.
No, but it was around the same time. Baby Hathi.
What's
in
Baby
Jungle Book.
Hathi?
The Colonel Hathi's little son.
The little elephant.
Don't talk in
Oh,
mine. We're
yes,
drilling.
yes,
He was
yes.
a little elephant in the Jungle Book.
Because he was a kid actor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're only on 8 o'clock on Saturday. That's why I wanted to just
Okay, all right,
poke around through here. We'll have to do a
Do you
part
actually
two
get
at
through
some
the
point.
whole week? Or?
Oh, yeah, usually.
Oh,
but
shit.
sometimes
Okay.
it's funny.
okay,
Like,
sure.
no, you can
I
say
did
whatever
too.
you want. Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
earlier.
Oh, no,
Shit,
swearing
I
is
said it
perfectly
twice.
fine. Yeah.
I'm sorry for saying shit on
It's
your
fine.
podcast.
It's fine. I will. I actually go back and replace all non-swears with swears.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's like a reverse
That's
network
really
television
great.
version.
Great,
yeah,
great,
like if
great.
people say darn, I just go back in and put a damn in or that kind
So
of
the
thing.
T in your TV is Tourette's.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
really nice. It's nice.
My favorite edited for TV swear replacement is Repo Man,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Motherfucker,
Uh-huh.
Melon Farmer. Because they let him, the director got to pick
Yeah.
the swears.
Yeah.
Because he's British and he thought it was ridiculous that
Yeah.
they did that. So he goes, he had it in the contract. That's fine. I get to pick the replacement swears. And so their Melon Farmer is fantastic.
And is now appropriated into my
Yes,
colloquial
yes.
insult dictionary.
As a melon farmer.
The first time I saw Animal
Melon
House.
Farmer? Oh, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
Yep.
The first time I saw Animal House on broadcast TV, the scene with the horse and the Dean's office and the horse, it's like John Belushi's going, "Holy smoke!" and I'm going, "What?" I don't think those words ever left John Belushi's lips. And it's like they reshot the scene, so they actually they didn't just redub. He got John Lance got a second take where he just had them not swear.
Because there's two ways to do it. There's that way, and then from the animation world, I know that Dave Coulier used to be the replacement voice for Robin Williams and things.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
Would be like for TV versions and that kind of stuff, which is crazy that
Yeah.
people would do that. My other favorite one is in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Uh-huh.
Fucking Dick to Mr. Hand is replaced with Fuzzy Nerd. You fuzzy nerd.
Fuzzy nerd.
Which is not. I would be so much more offended if someone called me that because I'm like, that's what you came up with? Did you see what I did to you in traffic? I cut you right off and you said fuzzy
That's
nerd.
all you have?
I was thinking about that. Like, what if you yelled that out the window of somebody? You fuzzy nerd.
Yeah. Obviously in Boston with the rage and traffic situations, to keep myself sane, I would see what innocuous things I could offend someone with as an insult in traffic.
Yeah.
That's just my little game. And my favorite one that always worked was cake taster.
Cake
What are you doing, you cake taster? And people would be like, what? Yeah, that one always worked.
Don't you talk to me like that.
That one always worked. That was a
That's really
favorite.
funny.
Yeah.
Do they still say chucklehead?
Chucklehead's big.
Chucklehead.
Yep, that guy's soft. That's a big one.
Okay.
Yep, Chucklehead. It's just fucking Chucklehead.
Fucking chucklehead.
Yeah. Oh, I have a bit that I've been doing that kind of never works, but it's just for me where I say I'm sort of ashamed to be from Boston for a lot of the things, but there's one magical element of the Boston accent that I have not heard explored and I have a real pride in, and that's you can take any donut flavor in a Boston accent and it sounds like a euphemism for being drunk. Anyone.
Let's hear it.
Guy is fucking glazed. Or whatever, be like, I don't know if you want to get in that car with him. He is chocolate dipped. Like whatever, in every single one. Like, I was fucking crulled, and the cops, I am fucking jelly filled.
That girl's maple frost.
Yeah, whatever it is, he is sprinkled. All of them.
That's really funny.
It's really weird, and I've tried it. People are like, I don't understand this. But
I get
Yeah.
it immediately. We need to animate it.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single one. Oh, I love it. Even the weird ones still do. Guys is fucking lemon lavender.
It all sounds good. It all sounds good.
It really works.
Yeah. It's a fun time. So what do we get on Monday there? Or Sunday? Oh, we didn't get Sunday. Let's jump to
We
Sunday.
only got to 8 o'clock on Saturday, so we have We never even talked about we talked about Airwolf, and then Facts of Life was running.
Facts of Life, I love. That was
Golden
85.
Girls in 227.
Yep, No Place Like Home.
And then Love Boat with Emmanuel Lewis.
Yes, the final season of Love Boat. And that's not Love Boat itself. That is the Love Boat fall preview special. Which was a big deal. It was an excuse for actors up until the 90s, I think, all wanted to sing at all times. So any excuse to sing and to be their character and themselves in a show, they would always do that.
Yes.
So this was...
And then to have their face in a little circle on the thing with Jane Meadows.
Yes.
Or whoever.
I mean, Love Boat, we don't have any of those all-star cast shows anymore. Even ones that are like Circus of the Stars, which would be a reality show, would probably a liability. And I miss that because it was
I used to love Circus.
It was great.
I remember Brooke Shields walking across broken glass and hot coals. And I was like, that's rad.
Yeah.
The only thing that comes close, I guess, is something like The Voice, where they'll have different celebrities on.
But they're always like an expert. Though. They're above it. They're not in the fray, you know? You don't have a Dan Haggerty.
What I really liked about Circus of the Stars, which is unfortunately not on our list because it wasn't airing at the time that we took this TV guide, was that they would show, it was a build show.
They'd show the training.
Here's how they're learning.
Yeah.
And even though it happened yesterday, and here they are doing an easy version with a stunt person executing it.
I've weirdly had people on who've
Dance
done
with
it.
the Stars would be close.
Yeah, where they're training. And for the kid actors, at least, they really busted their ass. Like, they were like working all day, and then they went to Burbank, and they were doing trapeze all day, and like their hands are bleeding for this, half hour or an hour show in 6 months. And I think I bet kid actors just wouldn't do it now.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You did a pilot where you teaching magic to
to CC Deville from Poison.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who wrote the song entitled I Hate Every Bone in Your Body But Mine.
Yes. When I met him for the first
that's
time,
going on the Elvis list.
Yep.
sang "Thanks for the Memories." Got that from him.
He studied with Ishtok Perlman.
He did, and it was really interesting because he had just been arrested for a DUI, so we incorporated a beer bottle into all the magic he was doing.
Right.
But it was two things were interesting about it. First of all, he gave an interview where he said, "Man, I expected to show up, say abracadabra, and pull a dove out my ass. This bitch is a bulldog. She's been working me all day long." And I'm like, "And this is why your shit's gonna work, my friend."
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he actually had become a magician. He so understood what he was doing. They lit him in a certain way. They gave him a star backdrop. And he said, I can't have that lighting. And they were like, why? And they were shooting us. And they said, well, why? And he said, because you're going to ruin my trick. Just trust me. I can't tell you why, but you need to change it. And I looked at the camera and said, my baby just became a magician. And that was funny. And I said, can I please have that footage? And they said no.
But that makes perfect sense because those guys, for all the rock and roll thing, the discipline of practicing guitar all day, it's
you would
the
think
precision.
He would be, and you'd think he'd be kind of a nitwit or a dingbat. And he sat down and he was like, you know what? He said, because I was saying, do you think that there's any good music now? And he goes, you know who I actually really like is Fall Out Boy. And I mean, this is several years ago. It's like, at least 8 or 9 years
It was before they were a band. It was weird.
Right. And you knew it was coming.
Putting them together.
I mean, talk about having your finger on the pulse of the
He did a
community.
mentalist act. You didn't even have to teach him anything.
How did you even know? But it was so interesting hearing him talk about modern music and the appreciation for it.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is why I like them. And, and he was running through a list and he was like, I really think they're going to make it really big. And he said, and they're not alone. I also like this band and that band. And I was like, it was so interesting to just hear him speak and be optimistic about the state of music because so many of them are like, nope.
My day was the best, and then everything's terrible.
Back then when we were
once Warren broke up, I just couldn't stomach anything.
Cinderella crashed and it was over. But it was really fun and interesting hearing an artist speak about his optimism.
Yes, and the thing that they know about.
Yeah, in his area of expertise. It's like, no, I actually love, and there was no competition with him. He was like, I can see CC Deville.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Let me tell you who I like. And he was just so comfortable in his own skin and a really rad guy.
See, the interesting thing, and unfortunately, I'll wrap this up, but we have to do this again if you guys are open for this at some point.
We should keep the list.
We'll keep the list. Yeah. We'll tease the list.
A different night for each podcast.
Yeah, one night we could.
We didn't really get very far.
Well, I had Greg Proops on, and we did a 3-hour one. That was a long one.
But Greg is he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Good guy to have. He's not only have I heard, I don't know personally.
He's super
Not
good.
only have I heard he's a total stand-up guy, but he is really talented.
Yes, he is incredibly smart.
Funny.
And a huge fan of stuff. He has a film club night, and it's almost like this Ville. Like, he'll talk about these movies, and it could be from the art house to whatever, and he just knows everything, so enthusiastic about it, and not in like a here's some facts I know way. It's just like here's the thing I thought about, and it's
and I researched it, and it turns out that the can that they used to light that scene is actually this, and it's like, why did you even? Because I love it. And it's like, that's so.
And that's now that you've said that about that pilot you did, that's what I'm realizing we're missing from media now is that it's a humanization of people who work in this business. So you're not seeing the business part, but you're not seeing how hard they work for things.
Well, you just did that profile.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'd love to see it
if you wouldn't mind. It's they just did a documentary and they show me like cutting a piece of metal and taking it out to Hollywood Boulevard, and it's like, look, this is my job.
Yeah,
this is what I do, and I gotta
you need
know
to practice. And if it's magic or it's musicianship and practice or it's memorizing a whole script, like that actually is work.
Do you remember what it was like for you to tell your first joke? As a kid, you must have been telling jokes all the time.
I would repeat a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm a little. I actually always wanted to do magic. I used to take lessons at this place in Medford, Mass, with my uncle. Who I'll tell you this story later, but my uncle actually ran away from home and joined the circus when he was a kid.
Who was it that was telling me that someone actually ran away from the circus and joined
a home?
Yeah, and joined Charlie Fry. Charlie Fry's a juggler in Las Vegas. His parents were in the circus, and he didn't want to be in the circus. He ran away from the circus and became a juggler.
He rebelled.
He did.
Wow.
It's like, well, what happens when you run away from the circus? He became a juggler.
There's a show, running away from the circus and joining a home.
Yeah.
So I used to take magical, but the thing that I couldn't do was I'm bad at precision and I'm not great at practice. I just can't over and over. I can't efficiently practice, and I did martial arts for a long time, same thing. But the things I took from it were misdirection, anticipating people's reactions. So it was a little bit easier when I started doing comedy because I can know how to walk someone down a path to reach an end.
Right.
And so that was helpful. But yeah, you do have to practice a bit. But the people like who do magic or are just amazing actors or have a skill set, I am so impressed by because they really are working. And the great thing about Circus of the Stars was you got to see that in a way people in America understood. Right. So they may see you acting, that's easy. You're just talking whatever, or you're just doing a trick. The trick does the whole work or whatever it is. But when you see them doing trapeze act for 6 months and their hands are bleeding, your average person goes, I get that they're working hard. Maybe they're doing this in everything they do. And we don't have that now. And I think that's why we have these reality shows where everything's kind of easy. They're all Cinderella stories. While pluck you out of line and obscurity and give you a career instead of they earn something. Because everyone thinks it's like winning the lottery. Yeah.
But it isn't, because I just told you what those
Exactly. So it's I don't know if it'll ever swing back there, but it'd be nice if it did.
Well, everybody who's creative, who has a successful, or even just making a living at their career, doing something creative, they all started when they were young, and they all started honing in on something that they wanted to do, like, hours and hours of music practice.
Right.
Or I remember in college, Mario Cantone, he said that, like, he worked hours and hours in the mirror. He actually had a routine called In the Mirror as a young kid, just in the mirror doing imitations one after another and everything. As a kid, I found out how to ink drawings with a brush. And I would actually cry because I couldn't make the lines very good, but I tried it until I could actually ink a figure with a brush like Walt Kelly.
And there's a weird thing like with, and not to complain about millennials, but I see this with younger comics where it's like, if you want to do a thing, you get to do the thing because you want to do it. And that's the attitude they have, and not, you maybe can't do it. You need to really try hard and you might get there. Right. But failing makes you work harder to do it. Or
it should be your cue to stop.
Yes. It either makes you better or it makes you stop. And they're not doing that. They're just like,
failing forward.
Yeah. Or putting these YouTube videos up and go, it's not that I haven't gotten to the skill level yet that people are going to give me things. It's just they haven't seen how great I am. And it's weird. Yeah. It's weird. And there's not that. Yeah. And I would read so much. I would go to the library and just read all the movie books and all the biographies, and I would read scripts of old vaudeville routines, and just because I loved it. But you absorb all this stuff, and watching shows that had references. You you're watching the Looney Tunes and you're seeing them do actors of the day impressions, and you're picking that up.
Yeah, I mean, like the other night we were looking around on TV for something to watch, and it's like, no, want to watch some Python? Yeah, we break out the Python discs and watch them, and they're just as funny as they were back then as anything now.
Looking up the lyrics to the Military Fairy sketch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Finally,
because they're timeless.
Years,
they're not
figuring out what they said.
Yeah.
They're not doing topical humor really, and they're doing stuff that is. First of all, they're inventing a thing, which is always makes it timeless. And maybe I'm just not seeing it, but I don't. There's so much less of it now.
Well, one of the things that we were talking about this the other day is like, you watch a lot of comedy on TV, or you listen to some comedians, and they're all doing weed jokes. You know, It's like, I'm 22 and I smoke a lot of weed, and I still live at home and everything, and it's all about the weed. And you know, the thing is that when drug humor was funny, you know, when it was like Cheech and Chong or something like that, or Fireside Theater or something like that, it was sort of. It wasn't legal to do it.
Yeah.
And so there was the punishment idea. You're doing something, you're going to get caught.
It was subversive, and they were getting laughed at as well.
Right. But now, and because the millennials don't know anything other than just themselves, it's like, I wish I could tell them, watch comedians from the 60s. Watch these old guys talking about, it's real fun to drink. Oh, I'm having a little drinko. You are Foster Brooks.
Yeah.
You are old lame guys. It's just like, I'm smoking weed at home. Oh, I'm having a little drinko at the country club. Yep. You are old and stale because all you're talking about is weed, which really isn't all that bad to smoke anymore, but it's not that funny.
It's not that interesting.
It's like a guy talking about, I'm having a scotch at
It's
the club.
airplane food.
Yeah, it is.
Tinder is airplane food.
But that's all they know.
Yes, yeah.
That's all they know.
And I'm seeing there's, a trend with comedians, because all my stuff stories about growing up or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've been told my stuff's alty by like late night bookers, and they're like, people don't know who you are, so they don't want to hear about things you've done, because they really want you to go out and be like weed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're like, once people know you, then you can talk about yourself. And I'm like, wow. Right. But they do these impersonal one-liner, like Twitter jokes, basically, is what these kids do, and anyone could do them. You're right, and it's a well-written joke, but it has no personality in it.
Yeah.
And then when they need to do longer sets, they start doing basically bad 80s observational stand-up, but they don't know that's what they're doing because they've never seen it.
Right.
So they think that them going like, I went to a wedding rehearsal dinner and I was like, hey, I know how to eat, and like that kind of stuff where I'm like, we did this already. No.
The comic book geeks will get this. It's like, if I want to be a comic book artist now, I'm gonna trace Rob Liefeld.
Yeah,
because he's really cool and dynamic. I've never seen that.
Yeah,
because you've never seen Neil Adams, you've never seen
right.
Jack Kirby, you've never seen Hal Foster, because it just doesn't enter your head to look back.
Pouches versus muscles.
Yeah.
Is there an anatomy book for pouches? I need to know how they move when you have no feet.
Yeah.
If I could figure that out, it would be great.
Well, that's the thing is like, it's like, don't show me how to draw Captain America running into the camera. Show me how to draw, a girl sitting at a table. You know, something, ordinary and everything like that.
Did you see Playing with Fire, that Frank Frazetta documentary?
I think I did. I might have seen some of it.
It's so good, but I mean, obviously he was a genius and unlike most people, but there's a scene where he's never drawn, he's drawing funny animal books because he's just trying to get some money. And they go, we need a rabbit here. And he's never drawn, he goes, I never have drawn a rabbit. Yeah. And they're like, we need one. And they say he just kind of closes his eyes and he thinks, and then he just draws perfectly this rabbit. Yeah. Because he's studied what rabbits look like, not drawings of rabbits. Yeah. And that's the difference.
And he also knows how to take from what he sees when his eyes are closed and produce that on paper.
Right.
And that comes from practice.
Yes.
And that's, because I think that's one of the hardest things about drawings. You see this image in your head. Now you have to have the skills with your hands to translate what you're thinking.
To show everyone else what you have. And that's music. You have a song. How do you getting the skills well enough so that you can convey what you're trying to do, where it's telling a story, telling a joke, doing a magic trick, doing anything. Yeah. And that's what they're not developing. Yes, they want a shortcut to that.
Yeah.
And it's and their shortcut is reusing things that have been done.
Well, and not only that, but because YouTube provides the medium where anyone can produce and upload that content, they're not required to be special. There's no vetting process.
Right. There's no gatekeeper.
Test. Yeah, there's no gate that they must cross with a keeper who says, except you suck, so stay outside until you're
they've never had to earn anything because they've got a prize for showing up.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's my prize, and this is great, and everybody loves me because of this. And now I'm going to go online, and everybody's going to love me because of this, because I'm talking about, basically my life, which is kind of a life from privilege, and everybody loves me, and I'm celebrated and loved, and that's funny, right?
Oh, exactly. And the other thing is that, especially like for television and albums and stuff, I've come to the conclusion that people don't appreciate shows as much anymore. They write off like Barney Miller because it's 3-camera, they don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
And when we were growing up, when you had to watch it, you might watch something and not like it, but then go, I think it might be me. Let me watch it again.
Yeah.
Or let me listen to this album again. Yeah. And then those end up being like, those are your favorite albums. Like once it clicks, you're like, oh my God. But they don't have to do that now. They can listen to 30 seconds and move on to the next thing.
There's so much.
Yes. So they're not holding on to this stuff as much, which is why when I do the show with people who are like born in 1996, they don't have as much of a hold on these shows because they were always there and they didn't wait to see them and they they didn't say, I didn't get that at first and now I love it. Twin Peaks didn't stick with me or whatever. And I wonder if that's lost completely or if it will come back in a weird way. But it'd be interesting to see.
I remember when I was a kid, the Christmas of 1973, long before I was born. That was like that was a Christmas I spent on the bus because I was 13, 14. And I couldn't drive anywhere. And I lived in Orinda, and we have a great movie theater there now, but at that time it was a second run house. So if I wanted to see the new movies, I had to take BART into the city and then get on a bus.
Yeah.
And there were two movies I wanted to see that you had to see. One was Woody Allen's Sleeper.
Yep.
And and it rained a lot that year, and I had to get early, take BART in, pouring rain, wait outside in a line to get in to see Sleeper because that was the weekend it was opening. I had to see it. It was only at the theater. And I was drenched in the rain. I was soaking wet. And I saw Sleeper and I loved it. God, funny. And then the next day, there was one theater showing Disney movies. And it was Disney's Robin Hood. It was the same thing. Only I had to go like twice as far because that was playing out in Daly City.
Yeah.
At the one place. Because Disney movies were suck ass at that time. Nobody wanted to see Disney movies. Like Herbie the Love Bug. Yeah, we'll show it out.
The Gnome Mobile.
Yeah, exactly. So I got on BART. I went on one bus as far as I could. Then I got on another bus. Then I walked like half a mile across a parking lot, pouring rain, and get there and watch Robin Hood. Going like, it's a new Disney cartoon. I'm watching it. Sucks pretty bad, but some of the stuff is kind of bad.
You're picking out things you like so you can justify the means you had to go to
the
get it.
The cat and the snake are really fun. The lion and the snake are really funny. Everything else in the movies kind of sucks. And look, there's half the animation we're using. Okay.
But you're learning that because you're kind of tuning out from the story because it's not great, but you're learning about how animation works and structure because you're paying attention to different things because you have to sit there for the whole time.
That's how you
and also, before that, like months before that, I was writing to an animator at Disney Studio. I was sort of like an older mentor, pen pal, a guy named Ward Kimball, who was one of Disney's 9 old men. And I said, are they going to make new cartoons? He goes, well, they're making this one called Robin Hood. I'm not involved in it, but it's going to be kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to go see that. So I went there, and it's like, okay, it became kind of a big event. Like going to see Sleeper was sort of like, this is a big deal. I really want to see this movie.
But that's how you become an expert. Is
you need to sort of feel you earned it. And
so entertainment was like a big deal. Like when I found something that I really loved, like later that year, or early the next year, Cheech and Chong was at a Monterey Peninsula College, and it's like I get a ride in.
Yeah,
got to see Cheech and Chong because we have one album. I was going to a boarding school. We all passed it around.
Yeah, it's a sense of urgency too.
We'll never see them again.
And scarcity.
Yeah.
And scarcity makes it special, and it makes you want to consume it over and over and really understand it.
And you have that connection. And that, I mean, I'd take 2 buses and a train to rent Eraserhead.
Right.
There you go.
There you go. So there you go. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this.
Thanks
we'll have to do it again. And it was great to talk to you guys, and I really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks. And we got through Sunday at 8 o'clock.
That's true. So we have a whole 5 more days left. Yes.
6.
Yeah.
That was a lot. Saturday at 8 o'clock.
This is the first cliffhanger episode I'll have.
Oh. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Baby, I see you in my TV set, baby, I see you in my TV set. I cut your head off and put it in my TV set.
There you have it. As I told you, very fascinating. Didn't get that far into the week, but we've kept the copy of their choices under lock and key so we can go back to it at some point. Stay tuned to the same TV Guidance Counselor channel at the same TV Guidance Counselor time at an undetermined date where we will do this part 2 and get through the rest of the week, but hopefully you'll be able to sleep in anticipation. It'll happen. How great are they? They're great. Love talking to them. I'll put up information on tvguidancecounselor.com for all their social media stuff. I'll put a link to that little documentary Misty was talking about from Vice, which is really, really great. You'll want to check out all the things they do if you're not already a fan. And as for this show, we have a new episode every single Wednesday, so be sure to be back here next week. We also have episodes on other days, sometimes just as a surprise, so be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss any of those episodes. If you have any questions about the show or really anything, I will do my best to answer. You can email me at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or at ken@icanread.com. You can also tweet to us at TV Guidance. You can sign up for our mailing list at tvguidancecounselor.com, or you can go on Facebook and like our page. Just search TV Guidance Counselor. Or you can just see us next week when we have a new episode. I don't even have to know you're listening, but it'd be nice if you let me know. So we'll see you again next time on TV Guidance Counselor. Put
your robe on you when you walk around the house, Ken.
I don't know anything anything about Spider-Man, so I need you guys to tell me because people don't know.
Hee Haw salutes my hometown, Orinda, California, population 14,000. Salute.
Janet Jackson's boob in a hot tub in White Castle. I think we also had pizza. I saw him and his wife arguing over placemats once. I remember Brooke Shields walking across broken glass and hot coals. And I was like, that's rad.